What happens when two of country music's biggest powerhouses clash on live television in a way nobody saw coming? Today, we're diving into the moment that had everyone talking. When Reba McEntire shocked audiences by walking off the Kelly Clarkson show after an explosive disagreement. What began as a warm, innocent interview quickly spiraled into one of the most uncomfortable moments in daytime television history. Asterisk. The atmosphere in the studio seemed perfectly normal as Kelly Clarkson settled into her chair across from the legendary Reba McEntire. The cameras were rolling, the audience buzzed with excitement, and everything pointed toward a routine promotional conversation. Kelly opened with her signature warmth, smiling as she praised Reba's new album and fondly referenced the duet they had recorded together years earlier. Asterisk. Reba responded politely, but there was something guarded in her expression. She thanked Kelly for having her on the show, then added that it was always interesting how people remembered things differently than how they actually happened. The remark lingered in the air just long enough to shift the mood. Kelly's smile faltered, but she pushed forward, emphasizing how special that collaboration had been and how much she had always admired Reba. Asterisk. That was when Reba repeated the word admired, her tone sharpening. She suggested that Kelly's version of events didn't quite line up with what had really happened behind the scenes. Kelly looked genuinely caught off guard, insisting she didn't know what Reba meant and that she believed they'd shared a wonderful working relationship. Asterisk. Reba let out a dry laugh and accused Kelly of pretending for the cameras. She implied that Kelly either remembered exactly what happened or had rewritten history so thoroughly that she now believed her own version. The studio grew quiet as Kelly tried to respond calmly, saying that if she had done something wrong, she wished Reba had addressed it privately. Asterisk. Reba pushed back, explaining that she had tried. She said she'd reached out through agents, mutual friends, and even in person at industry events, only to be brushed aside every time. Kelly, now visibly flustered, insisted she had never received those messages and apologized for any miscommunication. Still unclear about the root of the issue. Asterisk. That's when Reba laid it out plainly. She accused Kelly of taking credit for musical arrangements that weren't hers, changing lyrics without discussion, and then allowing the narrative to shift so that the song's success centered on Kelly's creative vision. Reba said her own contributions had slowly been pushed into the background. Asterisk. Kelly looked stunned, insisting that the song had always been a collaboration and that she never tried to take credit for Reba's work. Reba countered sharply, pointing out that while both their names were on the song, the stories Kelly told in interviews painted a different picture. According to Reba, the narrative had become about Kelly modernizing Reba's sound, a framing Reba clearly resented. Asterisk. As the tension escalated, Kelly tried to reassure her, expressing deep respect for Reba's legacy and influence. But the word legacy only seemed to fuel Reba's frustration. She said she was tired of being treated like a museum piece, tired of being expected to smile politely while younger artists reshaped the story of her own career. Asterisk. Kelly, fighting back tears, pushed back. She insisted she had never viewed Reba that way and had always spoken about her with admiration. Reba leaned forward, her voice low and intense, and explained what respect truly meant to her. It meant checking in before telling stories that positioned Reba as the student and Kelly as the teacher. It meant being mindful of how their duet was promoted and discussed publicly. Asterisk. Kelly's composure finally began to crack. She insisted she had only shared her personal experience and never meant to misrepresent anything. Reba shot back, asking what about her experience. She described watching interview after interview where Kelly talked about bringing pop sensibilities to country music, using their duet as an example, without acknowledging that Reba herself had been crossing musical boundaries long before Kelly entered the scene. Asterisk. The words hit hard. Kelly denied ever diminishing Reba's accomplishments, but Reba argued that it didn't need to be said outright. It was in the framing, the positioning. The unspoken narrative that suggested a young pop star helping a country legend find a new sound. Asterisk, for the first time. Kelly's usual bubbly demeanor gave way to something harder, more defensive. She firmly rejected that characterization, saying she was tired of having words and intentions attributed to her that were never there. And in that moment, with the tension at its peak and the studio frozen in silence, it became clear that this conversation had crossed a line neither of them could walk back from. Reba raised an eyebrow, clearly not expecting Kelly to push back. With such force, she accused Kelly of implying that she had imagined the entire situation, but Kelly fired back, her voice trembling yet resolute. She explained that she had spent weeks preparing for those recording sessions, studying Reba's catalog and learning her history because she wanted to honor everything Reba had built. She insisted she never walked into the studio believing she had anything to teach. Reba McEntire about music. Reba leaned forward sharply and demanded an explanation for why nearly every interview Kelly gave made it sound like she was the creative, driving force behind their collaboration. She pointed out that Kelly's name appeared first on much of the promotional material. Kelly looked genuinely shocked and said she had no control over how record labels handled marketing decisions. If mistakes were made, she argued, they had nothing to do with what she said or didn't say publicly. Reba laughed harshly and mocked the idea that such an oversight could be accidental. Kelly snapped back, her voice rising, saying the world did not revolve around a conspiracy to diminish Reba's legacy. Sometimes mistakes happened on the business side that artists had no power over. By now, the audience was frozen in silence, watching the confrontation with a mix of fascination and discomfort. Reba accused Kelly of refusing to take responsibility and claimed it revealed something about her character. Kelly's voice cracked as she defended herself, saying she had built her career on lifting up other artists, especially women, and had never tried to steal credit or tear anyone down. Reba countered by recalling multiple talk show appearances where Kelly spoke about bringing a fresh perspective to country music. Using their duet as the prime example, Kelly threw her hands up in frustration, explaining that interviewers always pushed that angle when a pop artist crossed into country. She said she was answering questions about the creative process, not trying to overshadow Reba. Reba cut in sharply, accusing Kelly of portraying herself as the one who modernized Reba's sound and claiming she had the receipts to prove it. Kelly went pale but stood her ground. She said collaboration meant to artists bringing their strengths together, not one teaching the other. Reba scoffed, saying real collaboration meant equal respect in the narrative and acknowledgement of what the younger artists learned from the veteran, not the reverse. Kelly insisted she had done exactly that in several interviews, but Reba dismissed it as damage control after public criticism began mounting. Kelly was visibly shaking now, insisting she had never positioned herself as anything other than grateful. Reba laughed bitterly and accused her of embracing the modernizer narrative when it suited her publicity. Kelly finally lost her composure, shouting that journalists pushed that storyline and she was responding to their questions, not plotting to steal Reba's spotlight. Reba fired back, asking why Kelly hadn't redirected those conversations more forcefully. Tears filled Kelly's eyes, but her voice stayed strong as she said she had defended Reba's legacy, even if not in every interview. She said the idea that she orchestrated a campaign against Reba was breaking her heart. Reba responded coldly, saying what broke her heart was watching someone she had mentored turn their collaboration into a stepping stone. Kelly stared at her in disbelief and challenged the idea of mentorship, pointing out they worked together for only 2 weeks on a single song. Reba's expression hardened as she claimed that agreeing to collaborate at all, lending her name and reputation, was mentorship in itself. Kelly responded quietly but firmly, asking if Reba truly believed working with her had been charity. Reba said she believed she had opened doors for Kelly in country music, and that Kelly repaid that opportunity by centering the narrative on her own evolution. That was when Kelly finally snapped. She said the collaboration had taught her an important lesson about the industry. Reba, startled, asked what lesson that was. Kelly wiped her eyes and said it taught her that some people were so insecure about their relevance that they needed to control every narrative. Even years later, the audience audibly gasped as Reba's face drained of color, then flushed with fury. Kelly pressed on, accusing Reba of smiling for the cameras only to ambush her with accusations from the past. Reba said this was not an ambush, but the truth about how Kelly's actions affected others. Kelly shot back that Reba was using her platform to air grievances she never bothered to address directly. She challenged Reba's claim that she had been unreachable, saying she had always been accessible, especially to someone of Reba's stature. Reba leaned back with a cold smile and mocked the idea of trying harder to reach a busy pop star. Kelly fired back that the real fault was blindsiding her on live television instead of having an adult conversation. She accused Reba of making assumptions and turning unresolved resentment into a public spectacle. Reba accused Kelly of making assumptions about her intentions without ever asking directly what she meant. Kelly fired back, insisting she had spent weeks preparing for their recording sessions, studying Reba's catalog and history to honor everything she had built, and never went in thinking she could teach Reba anything about music. Reba demanded to know why every interview Kelly gave made it seem like she was the creative driving force behind their collaboration, questioning why Kelly's name appeared first on promotional materials. Kelly, visibly shocked, explained that she had no control over marketing decisions and that mistakes on the business side were beyond her control. Reba scoffed, mocking the idea that such oversights could be innocent, while Kelly argued that the world didn't revolve around a conspiracy to diminish Reba's legacy. The audience was silent, captivated, and uncomfortable as the legendary confrontation unfolded. Reba accused Kelly of refusing to take responsibility, questioning her character, while Kelly defended herself, insisting she had built her career on supporting other artists and had never sought to steal credit. Reba pointed to multiple interviews where Kelly spoke about bringing a fresh perspective to country music, using their duet as a primary example. Kelly protested, saying she had only shared her experience because that is what interviewers asked about. Reba mocked her explanation, insisting that Kelly's framing of the story positioned herself as the innovator. Kelly insisted that collaboration meant two artists bringing their strengths together, not one teaching the other. Reba countered, saying real collaboration required equal respect and acknowledgement of what the younger artist learned from the veteran, not the reverse. Kelly maintained that she had done exactly that in multiple interviews, but Reba dismissed it as damage control after public criticism. As the tension escalated, Kelly's composure began to crack. She insisted she had never positioned herself as anything other than grateful, while Reba accused her of embracing the modernizer narrative when it suited publicity. Kelly shouted that journalists pushed that angle, and she had simply answered their questions. Reba pressed, asking why Kelly hadn't redirected the conversations. Kelly's eyes filled with tears, but she spoke firmly, insisting she had defended Reba's legacy, even if not in every interview. She said the idea that she orchestrated a campaign against Reba was breaking her heart. Reba countered that what broke her heart was watching someone she had mentored turn their collaboration into a stepping stone. Kelly challenged the notion of mentorship, pointing out they had worked together for only 2 weeks on a single song. Reba insisted that lending her name and reputation to the project was mentorship, whether Kelly acknowledged it or not. Kelly asked if Reba truly believed working with her had been charity, and Reba argued that while it was an opportunity, many artists would have handled it with more grace and humility. Asterisk, Kelly's voice cracked with disbelief. She asked what Reba meant by grace and humility. Should she have downplayed her contributions or insisted she was merely lucky to be in the same room as Reba? Reba's words hit her like a physical blow. Kelly should have remembered who paved the road she was walking on. Kelly, quiet but pained, said what broke her heart most was that she had genuinely believed they created something beautiful together. A song representing 2 generations of female artists supporting each other. Asterisk, Reba's expression softened slightly, but her voice remained hard. She said she, too, had thought the collaboration was special till Kelly turned it into a showcase for her own artistic growth. Kelly, tears streaming, protested that she had only shared her personal experience of the creative process because that is what artists do when promoting their work. Reba argued that Kelly had never considered how her words might affect her collaborator, and that she didn't need a young pop star explaining how she had modernized country music. Kelly, exasperated, insisted she never claimed to modernize anything, emphasizing that collaboration meant both artists bringing their backgrounds and strengths together. Asterisk, Reba countered that Kelly had spent interviews framing the collaboration as an example of her own artistic versatility and growth. Kelly paused, then spoke calmly but with deadly intent. This conversation had taught her something very important about Reba. Kelly accused her of being so threatened by younger artists, gaining recognition that she couldn't celebrate their success without feeling it diminished her own legacy. Reba's face shifted through shock, rage, hurt, and finally, something that resembled betrayal. Asterisk, in a whisper that carried more menace than her earlier shouts. Reba asked how Kelly could accuse her of being threatened when she had spent decades mentoring and supporting younger artists. Kelly demanded why Reba couldn't be proud that their collaboration had succeeded and introduced her music to a new generation. Reba exploded, abandoning all pretense of control, accusing Kelly of turning their work into a story of her own artistic journey rather than a celebration of what they had created together. Asterisk, Kelly, face red with tears and anger, shot back that it was not what she had done and that deep down, Reba knew it. She argued that Reba's real frustration was that Kelly hadn't spent every interview expressing gratitude for working with a legend. Reba fired back that Kelly never acknowledged there was anything for her to be grateful for, never treated the collaboration as more than just another project. Kelly finally lost every shred of composure, screaming that it had been supposed to be a partnership of equals, creating something beautiful together, not a hierarchy in which she had to show reverence. Reba's mouth fell open, stunned and hurt, as the weight of Kelly's words hung in the silent studio. Asterisk.